in 67, no, 47, we're back here. 47, it squares Uranus. So 47, 30, 77, that's a big change to energy. So that's probably a time where she's not working, or might have a fall, might have a move, and there's she's not going to be in control as much as she thought. There's sudden changes happening in her world at that time. So it's funny with progression, because you get to start thinking long-term cycles, a lifetime. You're looking at a lifetime, and how well you can look at a lifetime when you're 20. You're too naive and too pumped up to do it. By the time we start seeing how much time have I got left, you say, oh my, I got to navigate through this, I got to navigate through that. You can begin to see things, but you have to be ready to be able to see what these things involved. So in Mars is hitting Uranus, it's potentially accidental. She's not going to be able to do as much as what she thought, or she's going to be very intolerant or very edgy, or somebody may start doing things for her or making. So that's the Mars squaring the Uranus, and then in 2067 it gets up to oppose the Sun if she lives that long, to 98. So like these are all challenges. So okay, you just want all we can do right now is somewhat get a story out of this, so you can see there's a storyline and begin to see how there's a Mars presence there. So okay, here's July 23rd, 67, Shanghai. Okay, so Mars, here the Mars is in Scorpio, but it's in the 10th house of career and status, authority. I got to do something. It's up high in the chart. It's square the Sun, but other than that, there's no big afflictions to it. So there's a need to prove things, to do things, and it starts in the 10th house. It's going to move along, go through Scorpio. It's going to go through the 11th house. It's going to go into the 12th house for a long time, and eventually will hit the ascendant and go into the first house for the last part of her life. It doesn't go retrograde. It's still going forward, but it's going to, and as it does, I've marked in the main squares or oppositions along the way. So in the lifetime, there's these, again, these are internal battles, internal struggles to evolve and grow, and challenges will come up out in the world, which you're having to learn more spiritually. And if you're angry, you're getting often the negative lesson from it. So there can be very dramatic outer events happening on these times, but the real story is how you resolved it, or how you moved on, or what happened from there. Okay, so let me get her. Okay, so we have the printouts now. Those of you in the class, you have all. I got sent all your printouts. But your printouts are. This is done for. I did these ones for 1 degree intervals, so they'd be shorter and easy to work with. You have them for, I believe you have them for 1 minute and 40-second intervals, very smaller, so they're much more charts and they're spread apart before you see the individual aspects. But you have all these things. It's just had the details so you could follow the individual lines on the smallest level of the I Ching. And they're very, like the main themes are there, but when you get down to the smallest point with the planets moving through the lines and they're active and passive, it's really seeable. You really notice them. So we'll be studying this later on, like just doing what we can with each planet. And it's easy to go in and get lost and get pulled into 2 or 3 hours working on a degree around a point. So there's, first you have to organize material. You have to see it. Then once you have something that's, oh my goodness, this is coming up, then it's telling you, you got something to study for a number of years to be ready for. And you can study a few things, went back to see if you're still hung up on things in the past, then you can go back to those points and work them through. So she starts, her Mars is conjunct the south node, and it moves up to the south node in the first year of her life, or in her second year. I have no idea what happened then, but usually that's something to do with family or something. It's hard to know. It's a node, it's not a planet, it's just a sensitive point. But then it moved along and it went into the 3rd house, and in 86 it was squaring Jupiter into the 11th house in 1980. So 1980, 67, 77, she's 13, goes into the 11th house. So her social world really begins. The peer pressure, the friends, the social world starts coming up as a young teenager. Then it sextiles Venus. Then it's not till it gets to, 86, that it comes up and it squares to Jupiter. So by 86, she's running into the concept of how many friends, what's right, what's wrong, who should I be, where should we, her understanding. The Mars is challenging her understanding and in her relationships and whatever. So 86, so from 67, so 87, 86. So she's 19 and she's struggling. Do I stay here? Do I not? Who's telling me what to do? Who do I want to be with? Who do I want to be with? And her energy is, with Jupiter, Mars tends to be aggressive with Jupiter and exaggerate. So there's a fighting against maybe what the parents believe or what's trustworthy, who's not, who you're supposed to be with, who's not. So many things can happen at 19, but that's a pivotal year. That was the first run in from Mars, 19. It could have been the first intense sexual experience coming in during that point and the repercussions of what's right or wrong through that. Okay, could have been a travel or a move. So many, all Jupiter things come into it, but it affected her perception of what she can do or can't do, what she should or shouldn't do. Then it builds up and it's going to it conjuncts Neptune and squares the moon. She has the moon square Neptune. So her Mars, she has confusion with mom and the family to begin with. So that might have been trying to run away from it, trying to figure out how to get away, and realizing one had to get away when Mars hit the Jupiter. When it hits the Neptune and the Mars, it's bringing that right up to the surface. There's the expectations of what I want to do. There's a great dream of what I want to do. The temptation, of course, it's not going to get the approval of mom or the family. So it's 2002, 2003. So 35, 36. So that may have been when she left China. It's hard. I'm not sure. I don't know. We don't have the information, but there's so many other factors, the transits, other things to see, specific things we can see. This was working through where I'm coming from the past, the confusion around it. And at that point, it would seem like it's making smothering demands on her, and she's trying to make her moves to get beyond that. So I could easily see, I don't know, I could easily see, man, that might have been a time she left China and reached out to new friends or a new vision or a new belief of things. But this was the Mars doing things, pushing for the dream, fighting the past. And then the next, then it's going to go into Sagittarius, which was going into Sagittarius out of the Scorpio. So her Mars in Scorpio gets it goes into Sag in 2016, 3 years ago. Went into Sag. She still has her Mars in Scorpio by nature, and it's still square Sun, so there's a feisty competitive side. But it's going to be a change into Sagittarius, wanting to understand. And in this period, she's been in this period with Mars going into Sag, she's been learning the astrology too. And not only did it come to Sag, it's her 12th house. Where is it? The 12th house. Enters the 12th house this November in 2 months. So you begin to see it's going into Sag, new understanding, that understanding that's a Jupiter rulership. So it's going to tie back to when the Mars squared her Jupiter. And it's going to go forward. It's going to come in. It's the beginning of Mars going into 12th house. Where do I fit in? Where don't I fit in? It's a question of what's right, what's wrong, what should I do, what shouldn't I do. That's the Mars in the 12th house. Going through, it's still rising, it's still projecting, it's still making it happen, but it didn't accumulate the way she expected. Now, this is a more conscientious phase, and in 1930, it'll hit this point, first aspect, then it's going to square the Venus. We'll square the Venus, the Mars squares the Venus. Now, that's a strong issue about love, relationships, money, what I'm going her, and hers is in the 9th house. What's right, what wrong? What do I have? Her Venus is not afflicted. It's nicely placed in her chart, but she has Uranus and Pluto in that 9th house as well. Again, not afflicted. So there's strong higher understandings and high values, and maybe she begins to act on it a little bit more, some challenge because what she believes, what she wants to do. Maybe when does she become the full-time astrologer, not a full-time astrologer, what's she doing? These things come up, or she'll probably be doing it, but this is the next challenge. The Mars hits the Venus. She says, well, what do I want? What am I doing? What don't I want? And with Mars squaring the Venus often, I don't want this. What am I putting up with this for? What am I doing? Or some struggle around resources or values. But it has a deeper point of trying to understand it, trying to fathom it to guide your actions and not perhaps overreact. But there could be an anger of what one has and it's not what it was. I got to change this. I got to get out of this. Or it could be someone else that you're doing something with this. They're the same way. Okay, so then Mars goes along through Sag. It's going to hit the Pluto and the Uranus. It's going to square the Pluto and Uranus in 43 and 47. Those are going to be big time changes or disruptions to her energy level. So 67, that's 97, 33 and 47. So you're talking 80 years old. If she's 78, 80 years old, with the Mars coming up to hit the Pluto and Uranus, that's probably in homes or not being in control, not having the same controls, not being able to do the same things. That's probably that shift and adjustment in life. It could be moving more towards more spiritual things that's in the 12th house, but it certainly implies your energy level. It shifts and changes what you can do or can't do dramatically then. Okay. So I went right through that one without having to even look at the close-up of it, but that's all right. I'll just put it there for a second. You can get a screenshot. So, I mean, finding the points, knowing where the Mars moves, drawing the line in for where the Mars moves, drawing the circle in for the length of the Mars stay, and then putting the main aspects in and then dating them. And you got your progressions there. You can go back and look at this anytime. And then you can decide whether you want to go deeper into this, or maybe I got to look more deeply into this and see. Here's another one. This is July 31st, Leo. Oh, I sped. And so it starts, the Mars starts in Scorpio, the Mars in Scorpio. It's going to move along, and if she lives old enough, it'll hit the IC in her chart. Okay, but it's mostly in her whole lifetime. It's going through Scorpio, Sag, into Capricorn. The three of us have done this so far. And then it's going through the second and third house. My chart started in the third house. The first lady's chart was in the third house going into the fourth, but hers is going from the second into the third, maybe into the fourth. Okay, so